Help me.
What happened to you?
The farmer threw me out with my little girl. The bastard. He fathered it himself, and then got rid of us so his wife could scratch his eyes out. I hide in the woods at night, and during the day beg here at the roadside. Wouldn't you have a morsel of food for me, sir? I haven't eaten for 3 days. Everything I find, I give to the little ones.
Don't you want to go to Ratai? There are other refugees there. Someone will take care of you.
I know there are others there, but I think I'll be better off in the woods. Could you spare a little change, sir? So I can buy a blanket at least.
I'd like to give you alms, but I haven't a groschen to my name.
Then take care not to end like me in the woods. God bless you anyway.
God be with you.
What have you done? Did you kill him?
Me? What do you mean, me? It was you? You killed him?
I didn't kill anyone. The corpse was already lying.
What are you doing here, nearby a corpse? Nearby a murder?
I'm travelling the province in the service of Sir Radzig Kabila.
Sir Radzig? Heavens! Begging you... Alright, I suppose you're not the guilty.
Glad you saw sense. And what exactly were you doing here, anyway?
What are you getting at?
You were looting the body right here on the road.
What of it? Corpse doesn't need possessions.
It'll be easier for you if you confess.
Alright then. I did it. I didn't want to kill him. I just couldn't stop myself. There he is with money, strutting around. You don't have to tell anyone, you know? And...
Forget it. I won't be bribed.
You're in the wrong place. Come.
You're not getting off scot-free. Pay up. Very well.
Hold it right there. Drop your...
You're dead.
I'll chop you to pieces, you rat.
You'll get one. Is that the best you can do? No. Hey, who's there? Show what you're made of.
Bugger!
No! Is that all you got? Ow. go, Landon! Shit! Allez, go! Bollocks! You know how this one ends. Take that!
Hostia, y me ha dado bien. Puta.
What's the matter?
I have a proposal for you. A wager.
I'm listening.
A little friendly combat. Just the two of us.
Who are you, anyway?
What do you think? Would you...
No, although you are armed like...
True.
So a bandit, then?
No. Not now, anyway. I'm waiting here for a merchant. Would you dare to face me?
All right, why not?
Finally. A taker. I hope you have coin, though.
Aye, I have.
I'm glad to hear it. Let's get to it, then. Sakura. This is not my day. Here, take your coin and run along.
My respects.
What have you done?
Me? It was you.
I didn't kill anyone. The corp...
What are you doing here?
I'm traveling...
Right. Oh, shit. You're covered in his blood.
It's my own blood.
Well, it's true. I've got a funny feeling about you.
I'm relieved to hear it. And what exactly were you...
What are you getting at?
You were looting the body right here on the road.
What of it?
You're carrying the...
You won't prove it's a murder weapon.
It'll be easier for you.
All right, then. I didn't want to kill him. You don't have to... And...
Forget it. I won't be...
to earn a bit of coin. There's nothing to it. I've got this plan. There's nothing to it. Stop and talk a while at least. Shit! What?
Is that all you've got? Cut! You're done for, fucker. Ah! You'll get what for. That hurt. This won't take long. Now. Herrgott! Masarba! Hát ez érdekes lesz. Mellé! Ez betalál! Get him!
Help me, somebody.
What happened to you?
The farmer threw me out with... I'd like to bring the children something towards you for your kindness.
I'm at your service, Sir Knight.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Sir Hanush gives a job like that to a young fellow like you? Well, what do I care? Ask.
That man Lubosh who was murdered, what was he like?
He was a strange one. Always drinking, bad-tempered. Lord knows how he made a living. Well, maybe now I've got an idea or two.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
I didn't see much of him lately, not even in the tavern. Not until yesterday in church, as it happens.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
I don't think he was home at all. Wait, are you saying he... Jesus.
Do you know anyone Lubosh used to spend time with? Relatives or friends?
I really don't know. As far as I know, he had no kin. I never saw him with anyone.
That's all. Thank you.
I hope I can be of help to you, Knight.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa.
I don't know nothing about it, but...
That's all. Thank you.
What is it?
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa.
I don't know how I can help you, but ask.
Who was this Lubosh who was...
You could see at first glance he was no good. I kept well out of his way.
Have you noticed anything...
There wasn't sight or sound of him for a long time. And then yesterday, he turned up at the church and even talked to the parish priest.
Do you know what Lubosh was...
I don't think he was home. I didn't see him.
Do you know who Lubosh used to spend time with? Kin or friend?
As far as I know, he had no...
That's all. Thank you. I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa.
I don't know how I can help you.
That's all. Thank you.
God be with you.
Let's have a word about the price.
Well, we...
Is this enough?
Come now. Finally.
I see you know how to wield a sword, Father. I wouldn't have expected that from a man of the cloth.
With a stick. I practiced with a stick. A reminder of my youth and days gone by, and it helps keep me in good form.
The blessings of our good Lord be with you, Father. I'm here in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa, investigating the massacre at Neuhof, which seems to be connected to a murder here. Can I ask you a few questions?
It seems Sir Hanush is employing children as investigators. But ask as you wish, boy. I hope this nasty business will be cleared up quickly.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
Bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you know Lubosh? What was he like?
Bit of a lost soul. Simple, rough fellow, but at heart I don't think he was such a bad person.
Did you notice anything suspicious recently?
My child, all sorts of suspicious things have been going on recently. People like Lubosh don't know what to do about it, and sometimes they do stupid things.
That's really not a lot of help to me, Father.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing on the day Neuhof was raided?
Unfortunately, I do know. And I'd like to help you with your investigation, but I can't.
What?
I'm bound by certain vows that forbid me to tell you.
Vows more important than catching dangerous murderers?
There are laws of God above the laws of man, son, and one of those is the sanctity of the confessional.
Father, surely you can't be serious. There must be situations in which you can make an exception.
There are things that apply always, no matter what the circumstances, and this is one of them.
But Lubosh is dead. You can't hurt him, but if you don't tell me, more innocent people may die.
If I told you, I would be betraying a vow that's a cornerstone of the Holy Church. If people believed the sanctity of the confessional couldn't be trusted, the consequences would be even worse than that.
Worse than the death of innocent Christians? Worse than the murderer escaping punishment?
No one escapes punishment.
Father, Lubosh was my only lead to the Neuhof raiders. Only he could tell me who was responsible for that massacre. If I don't find out who it was, it will probably happen again. Surely you wouldn't want that.
I wouldn't. But I can't betray the sanctity of the confessional. I'll tell you what. Give me some time and I'll try to think up some way of helping you. Suppose we talk it over in the evening, in the tavern, over a cup of good wine. Maybe we'll come up with something.
All right. Thank you, Father.
Good health to you.
That is where you write.
I hope I can be of help to you, knight.
The parish priest here in Ujis, he's a peculiar sort of cleric. I noticed he's quite handy with a sword.
He is indeed. He's as hard as nails. More than once he's intervened in a brawl in the tavern and sat everyone on their asses. He's not to be taken lightly.
I doubt he acquired those skills at the seminary.
You know how it goes. The nobles send their youngest sons to study for the priesthood, and our parish priest has blue blood in him. He probably learned to fight at home before he went to university. That's how it goes with those aristocrats. But
another thing about Lubosh.
My respects to you, sir.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipe.
I don't know nothing about it.
That's all.
Catch him! Stop him, someone! The bastard! Ah! Watch where you're going, you lout! You nearly killed me! He won't get away!
Ugh!
Fuck! No! Shit! Leave me be! Enough! You win! Had enough? Please, leave me be! Come now. We don't have to get all worked up on account of a scrap of cloth, do we?
No excuses. Hand it over.
Here.
You got the thrashing you deserved. I hope you've learned your lesson.
I'll amend my life. From the very foundations, believe me.
You really let him go? Just like that? And did you get the loot back?
I did. I have it here.
Thank you, that thieving magpie. You can't trust anyone these days. And just so you know, I'm no pinch purse. Here's a small reward.
Thanks.
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work some... But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
Oh. I'm sorry.
And good health.
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here. We'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was. But I really don't like to talk about it.
I understand. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanush to send that old grout.
You think I'm too young for the job, Father?
I do, to tell the truth.
Well, I can only apologise for my lack of grey hair and gout.
Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Noyo? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things. But I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhoff stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Libros, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home.
What else is?
I noticed you're pretty handy with a sword. I wouldn't expect that of a man of the cloth.
You know what they say. The Lord moves in mysterious ways.
But this is a bit more mysterious than others.
Let's just say I haven't always been a priest. Fate led me to places where affairs were settled by force. These days, of course, it's just a bit of exercise to keep me in shape.
Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubos told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujits isn't Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. A tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive furs, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticizes the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
To the women, God bless them.
Just as you ordered.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up, and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe?
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. Oh, it's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
Ah, that sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj padł dziesięć smutek, wiodnielo i rano utek, jakiś małżeński majstrat, do wczera żył Mesaje brak. Už sejmoj svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejbě kůži. Nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední jen. Buďme se vámi, panorama slávy a tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem. Tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zejtra jen tu soudnej den. Tak ďalej bych ne a točí se svět.
Enough of this!
Bailiff! Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out.
Oh. Oh. You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
I'm going to enjoy this.
That was the last straw.
Come here, Lily Liver.
Bastard! Get your penance now.
Gone weak at the knees, have you?
Bastard! You'll get your penance now. So, my dear, would you like to have a little ring on the bell? No sooner said than done.
I'd love to. And Henry, too, I'm sure. Right, Henry?
Stop that nonsense, Godwin. Are you out of your mind? What will people say?
They can say what they like. What do I care? What do they do to me? Watch the step, my dear. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin, you're a buffoon.
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath.
And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here. Oh.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own?
Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast. Get up. Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell.
Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, stay on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh, shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look, from what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it. Stop gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this,
I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
So all at once the confessional seal isn't so sacred?
Don't mock me. I won't give you a second chance.
We'll never get away with it.
Not if you make a hash of it.
Well, all right. But I can't make any promises about what'll happen.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do, exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and no need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what...
Christ almighty.
Wonderful.
never show up. The swill pop.
Look at him. He can hardly walk after his capers last night.
You were with them, you beast. Just you wait.
Look at him. Mother of God, any minute now he'll throw up.
I couldn't sleep a wink last night with all that clamor.
In nomine Patris, et Filii, et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. Accepit panem in sanctas at venerabiles a manus suas. Hoc facite in meam commemorationem.
Brothers and sisters, you may have had the honor of meeting Henry from Skalitz, who is here at the behest of Sir Hanush to investigate that heinous crime at Neuhof. You might not know that Henry recently visited Prague, where, by the grace of God, was able to hear Master Jan Hus from the esteemed Charles University preaching. I've managed to persuade Henry to stand here today in my stead and tell us what he heard. Because, as you all probably know, Jan Hus is a very popular preacher in Prague. So, Henry, you may begin.
Now I'm curious which one of them will puke first.
Brothers and sisters, let me get straight to the point. I'd like to talk about the church and how corrupt it is.
That boy has a cheek.
One should not believe in the church, because the church is not God. God is above all things, and the church is but a means to salvation, which the prelates do not care to hear.
He's right.
It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, enemies, injustice, hunger and chaos, failed harvests, fires, floods and other catastrophes. And it is all due to the corrupt servants of God who do not practice what they preach. They think sins can be washed away by money, and they sell indulgences, and that's bad, because sins cannot be redeemed with silver.
Prague didn't do much for his confidence.
And what sins? They live with harlots and keep concubines, even though only marital intercourse for the purpose of procreation is pure. If someone takes a woman or man only to satisfy their own lust, who seduces them to do so but Satan? And how much darker the sin if that man is a servant of the church? Who can turn his face to God, who fornicates and then puts on priestly robes?
Nothing we don't know about already.
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose absolution they promise if you only pay enough coin to Mother Church. What if the devil himself were to pay? Will the bishops tell us he too would ascend to heaven? And what about those bishops? They sin without remorse, and with the money grasped from the poor for indulgences, they keep fine horses and hordes of servants to pamper them. They play dice and garb their mistresses in expensive furs, while Christ, the Lamb of God, walked barefoot and had nowhere to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too.
Down with the prelates. Away with them.
We're fortunate to have our good Father Godwin. At least he's a fair and simple man.
God sees what is happening on earth, and he is filled with righteous wrath that those who should seek the salvation of souls instead seek mammon and the idle comfort of lucrative posts. Blessed are the shepherds who share the poverty of their flock, who are as one with you and bear with you the burden of this earthly pilgrimage, who do not condemn your venial sins.
Aye, all honour to Godwin. Let him drink like one of us.
That is all I heard in Prague. Amen.
The lad spoke well, considering what a soak he is.
He's right, that was.
A young man shouldn't drink so much, but the Lord's given him a silver tongue.
I don't suppose I'll ever get to Prague. He told it nicely.
Well, well, my boy, you have talent, and I can't deny it. And you pulled a thorn from my side. I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed. I wasn't the only one.
Oh, what's to be done? I'll make it up somehow.
So, about our bargain.
Although it's a sin.
So gluttony and fornication.
God does forgive a penitent.
So, what did Limpy Lubos tell you? Was he at Neuhof that day? Who was with him? And where are they now?
Now, slow down. I'm sorry, but he didn't tell me that much.
Don't let me down after all I've been through. For you...
Well, now Lubos came to me shortly after it happened. His conscience was gnawing at him. In the end, he turned out to be a better man than he looked. He said they'd been hired through some crony of theirs. And at first they were just to steal some horses. But then it all turned sour and people started getting killed. And neither he nor his cronies wanted anything to do with that. So they fell out from the gang and fled.
Fell out? Yeah, there was a body found in the woods by Neuhof.
That would explain something. Lubos kept jabbering that he wasn't a murderer, that he didn't want to do it.
So I know that Lubos killed the murderer and he's dead too. The trouble is, I need to find the ones who are still alive. I need names and places. Did he mention any of the others?
Only nicknames. Talked about some fella called Riki from Ledechko. Pius, Timmy.
Pius. That lot are about as pious as I am ordained.
Nonsense. You would make an excellent priest. And anyhow, with your skills, you ought to be able to sniff out this Riki from Ledechko, right?
Well, we'll have to now. There's not much else to go on. Let's hope he's not hanging from the wall too.
Indeed. And I'd hate to be excommunicated for nothing. Anyhow, good luck. You watch out for yourself. These people clearly mean business. And I'd like to raise a tankard with you again sometime.
Yeah, I'll try. Although I'm not sure I'd survive another night of your debauchery.
And if anyone should ask, you heard nothing from me. I'll deny everything.
I don't doubt it.